So, you want an iron farm, but you don't want to mess about with complicated builds or mechanics? No problem. This iron farm is the simplest iron farm that I could design and is exactly what you need. Chapter 1. Setup. Well, your world setup might be a bit different from mine, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference in building the farm. For reference, I've got creative mode on just to make recording this tutorial a little easier. I've got it on hard difficulty with an infinite world type, a random seed, and a 4-chunk simulation distance, and I've got show coordinates on. The other game rule I always use is fire spreads turned off. I mean, why would you want your entire world to burn down every time lightning strikes? And since the 1.17 Java parity update, it strikes a whole lot more than it used to. In fact, it strikes more than it does on Java Edition because it's broken. But we're not here to talk about broken lightning, we're here to talk about iron farms. So let's move on. Chapter 2. Location. Where are you going to build the farm? Probably somewhere near your base, right? Well, it doesn't really matter. All I would say is build it above ground. Make sure it's the highest thing around so that when we create the village later on, the entire village is floating. Why? Well, otherwise you'll probably get iron golems spawning on the floor below it, which will slow down your rate. Oh, and I'll point this out now so there's absolutely no confusion. Do not build this near another village or where you've got any villagers that are linked to beds or workstations. So, how do we know how high to build it? Well, a standard village has a height of 24 blocks around the village center, which will either be a bed or a bell. So assuming you haven't got one of those crazy huge villages that's merged with other villages and points of interest further away, then you should be fine so long as there are no spawnable blocks 12 blocks below where the center of the village will be. So for our tutorial, this lovely island in the middle of absolutely nowhere will be perfect. And to make life nice and easy, we're going to start building 20 blocks in the air. And we're starting with storage, because we're going to build this farm starting from the bottom and working up. For this, I'm just going to put a couple of chests in because this is the easy iron farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial and not the super complicated iron farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial. So we're going to stick with the idea of easy and keep things simple. So pop a double chest down, put a hopper in the back of it and another double chest on top of that with a hopper pointing down into that one. Put 3 more hoppers pointing into that one to make a 2x2 grid of hoppers. Oh, and you can smash that pillar that you made to bits now because, hey presto, that's it for storage. I told you this was the easy iron farm for Minecraft Bedrock, right? Chapter 4. The spawn platform. For the spawn platform, we're going to take any type of solid spawnable block and measure out 9 blocks in each direction from the 4 hoppers in the middle. Fill in the platform till you have a 20 by 20 square platform and build a 1 block high wall around the outside, leaving an 18 by 18 block area for the golems to spawn. And then put a layer of leaves on top of that wall. Once you've done that, put 4 non-spawnable blocks in the corners. I'm using glass, and at this point we could fill this entire thing with water, but that's going to make life tricky for us later, so we'll leave that out for now. Chapter 5. Creating the village. Okay, so before we start throwing lava in, we should get the village in place so that we're not accidentally burning the villagers to death later on when absolutely everything inevitably goes wrong. So we're going to start by adding in a platform of beds around the center 3 blocks up from the spawning platform. To put these in, we'll need to use some temporary solid blocks first to place the beds on. So starting from the center, build out an 8 by 8 platform of solid blocks 2 blocks above the spawning platform. Then grab 20 beds and put them in a pattern, keeping the heads of the beds where the pillows are as close to the center of the farm as possible. The reason for this is that when the first villager links to a bed, that will set the village center to the block that the pillow of that bed is on. The closer our village center is to the center of our spawning platform, the more reliable our rates and iron golem spawning will be. Once you've got the beds in place, break your temporary blocks underneath and put a layer of leaves over the beds. The leaves don't have to match the beds exactly, it's basically just a non-spawnable platform for our villagers to stand on. Now at this point, if you were making a more complicated version of this farm, we'd probably go ahead and start designing our trading hall at this point. But again, this is the easy iron farm tutorial. We're just going to plonk in some workstations and some villagers. We're not even going to worry about getting them linked properly. So first, plop down at least 10 workstations around the edge of your leafy platform. Put leaves over those and fill in the gaps to make a full 2 block high leaf wall. With that in place, it's time to start bringing over your villagers, which I'm sure you've already got ready because you're an organized sort of person that thinks ahead before taking on these sorts of projects. If you haven't already wrangled a gaggle of villagers, then you'll need to steal a couple from a nearby village and bring them over to the farm. There are lots of ways you can do this, either with rail or boats or even TNT launchers, maybe. Or maybe not. But for me, because I'm doing this tutorial in creative and because I can, I'm going to hatch them from an egg. Now you're actually going to need 10 villagers, which I would strongly recommend you bring in from an external villager breeder instead of breeding them inside the box you've made. The reason is that once you feed them, they will multiply like rabbits, and because you've got 20 beds, you'll end up with 20 villagers, but then they won't be able to get to their workstations, which means the golems won't spawn. The other issue with breeding them is that you will probably end up with some nitwitch, which are hard to remove once they're in the system without upsetting the other villagers. So be careful however you choose to do it. So once you've got your 10 villagers safely in their leafy box, you'll probably find that cats are starting to spawn. And hopefully at least one golem. A good thing to do here is try and wrangle the cats into boats and put them somewhere safe and out of the way and name tag them so that they don't cause problems with golem spawning. Alternatively, you can just let them stay where they are and they won't be able to go far once you've got the water in the system. Now finally, with the villagers, we mentioned lightning earlier, remember? It strikes a whole lot more than it used to. Well, we need to prevent these idiots from turning into witches the next time there's a thunderstorm, so grab your copper lightning rod and throw it in the bin, and then grab some more leaves and make a platform above the villagers with them. Make sure the leafy roof is at least 4 blocks above the villagers, or they may still be inside the blast radius of the lightning. Or, apparently, you can go get that lightning rod that you threw away back, because apparently that bug's been fixed. Chapter 6, the killing system. Finally, it's time to create the iron golem killing system, which is pretty simple because, again, this is the easy iron golem farm tutorial and not the really complicated iron golem farm tutorial. Oh, and if at this point you find a creeper in your farm, put some lighting around to make sure that doesn't happen again. Anyway, building the kill box. The easiest way to do this, because this is an easy tutorial, is to place temporary blocks over the 4 hoppers in the middle and stack them up underneath the beds. Place 8 fence gates around the outside of those, directly under the beds, and open them. Then remove the bottom 2 layers of temporary blocks, leaving just 4 blocks, and place 4 fence gates underneath those temporary blocks. Open those fence gates as well, remove the last 4 temporary blocks from underneath the beds, and put 1 bucket of lava inside the fence gate cage that you just made. Now all we need is some water. Grab a couple of buckets of water and potentially some more leaves, and place the water sources around the edge of the spawning platform so that the water spreads towards the middle with no dead spot. And that's it. Your iron farm should now be 100% complete. So what are those extra leaves for? Well, if you built your iron farm in a cold biome, you might find your water starts to freeze. Now by putting a layer of leaves 3 blocks above your water so that there's room for iron golems to stand underneath them, that will prevent the water sources turning to ice, because water cannot freeze in Minecraft with a block above it. And now that's done, you can sit back and watch as your iron golems start spawning, burning, and giving you lots and lots of tasty iron and poppies, although mainly iron. Unless, for some reason, iron golems can now spawn on lightning rods. Why? Okay, get rid of that lightning rod, throw it in the bin again, and put a leafy roof back on, and then you can sit back knowing that you've just finished the easy iron farm for Minecraft Bedrock tutorial, and now you're going to have plenty of iron. And if you want a bit more of a challenge, check out this video where we add a trading hall to the iron farm design.